Before we start the show, may I ask you for a favor? Would you be willing to rate and review the podcast on the app wherever you listen to it? If you're willing to do this and send me a screenshot of your review, I will send you a Starbucks gift card in gratitude of you taking this time to do that. So it's super simple for you to do this. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, please leave a review on that app. Take a screenshot of the review and then email it to support@yoursalesmaven.com, and then we will send you back a $5 Starbucks gift card. Your ratings and reviews allow other people to take a chance and maybe listen to the podcast. So I'm so grateful if you would be willing to do this on my behalf. Thank you so much. And now please enjoy the show.
Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Rausch will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch. I'm your own personal sales maven, and I'm here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is just you and me, and we're going to be talking about, does size matter? Your email list size. Super important to think about, pay attention to. And there's a few things that have happened recently that spurred me to want to have this conversation with you today. So sit back and let's chat. Now, before we do, I do just want to take a moment to thank those of you who have left reviews for the podcast, shared the podcast with people, and brought new listeners. Thank you so much. I read everybody's reviews, and I'm just so grateful that people take the time. If you have not yet left one and you would like to, please do, because it really does help more people find their way to the podcast. And if you haven't shared it recently, if there's one episode in particular, maybe this one, that you think people would benefit from hearing about, would you please share it? I'd be so grateful. All right, so let's talk about mindset around email list size and this idea of how big your list is. It's super interesting to me how many people that I have the opportunity to work with and talk to that treat their email list like a vanity matrix, right? I know we can all get caught up in this. We can get caught up in this in social media. How many followers do I have? How many likes do I get on a post? And a lot of that is vanity matrix type stuff. It doesn't actually do anything for your business unless those people are actually converting to leads, which means those social media people are coming to your list and opting in to your list, and or you're DMing them and they're taking you up on offers, right? That's when that stuff starts to matter. But the thing about your email list is it's like one of the last things you want to treat as a vanity matrix. Like, I have X number of subscribers on my email list, but I never email them. Why? Well, because if I email them, they might unsubscribe. Then you're treating your list like it's a vanity matrix. But your email list actually should be treated like a business asset. And it's something that business asset you can grow with the right people on the list. And you can utilize that business asset to grow your business. So I know in my own personal business that at Sales Maven, 90% of my buyers come right from my email list. So you better believe that it's super important that I continue to grow my email list, not just with anybody, but with the right people. So that's kind of what I wanted to have a conversation about today. And hopefully maybe give some possible reframes if you're somebody who is stuck right now in you're not emailing your list enough because you're afraid you're going to get unsubscribes, or you're not selling to your list on a regular basis because you don't want to offend some of the people who are on your list right now. And all of these things are like roadblocks that you're putting in place to growing your business. And it's a real shame, frankly. It's a real shame for you to be letting something like, I don't want to offend somebody, hinder your opportunity. If you don't want to offend people, then don't post like offensive stuff on social media. But if you don't want to offend somebody who's on your email list because you make an offer to them, if they get offended by that, they're not the right people to have on your list. So we actually want to encourage them to unsubscribe. My coach, Shane Sams, often says, buy or unsubscribe. We were actually just talking about this today in one of our calls, and I always tease him because he gets t-shirts printed up of things that he says. He says a lot of really cool things. If you didn't hear the podcast where I interview him for the Mastering Excellence series, it's actually become a really popular podcast episode because it's so packed full of good information. But Shane is like a walking, he's such a great, he makes so many fun, great comments. And oftentimes his comments become something that he puts onto a t-shirt and wears it. And it makes me laugh. So we were talking today about, I was like, you really need to have this on a t-shirt. And he's like, I'm ordering that one today, buy or unsubscribe, and being really serious about this. So if it's something that you're not thinking about right now, like, I'm not going to email my list because I'm going to get unsubscribers. I'm not going to sell to my list because I'm going to get unsubscribes. Yeah, it's time for you to rethink a little bit about what's the purpose of growing an email list if you're not going to sell to them. I feel like you're missing the boat. By the way, that podcast episode with Shane Sams is called Implementing Ideas to Generate Revenue. And it was an episode that came out in June, mid-June. So if you haven't listened to it yet, I highly encourage you to take a listen. Okay. Now here's the thing about who's on your email list. Sometimes when we're starting out in business, again, we have this idea of this like vanity matrix type mentality. And so we start adding random people to our list. We add our moms and we add our aunts and our cousins. We add friends. We add people that we used to work with. Now, it's okay to have those people on your email list if they are potential buyers. Although you want to be really careful. Now, I know outside the US, there are certain rules and laws around just randomly adding people to your email list. I'm always so surprised at how many email lists I get added to without having ever opted in. But realistically, you should actually be earning the right to email people who are on your list. And one of the ways that you earn the right to email them is by giving them an opportunity to opt into your list. That usually comes in the form of a lead magnet. There's some reason that they gave you permission or they gave up their email address to you, not that you just went like through your address book or anybody who's ever sent you a personal email and then you added them to your list. Like, that's not okay, first and foremost. But if you are not sending out emails to people because you know that your aunt is sitting on your list and she doesn't want to be sold to, take her off your list. Now, if you don't want to take her off your list, then start tagging people on your list, depending on what email service you're using. We use a lot of tags here at Sales Maven. It's a way that we designate certain people who are going to get certain offers. It's a way for us to track our Sales Maven Society members so they get, extra content from me. But they have we have tags. So we know there's certain emails that go out that don't apply to the Sales Maven Society members. So I make sure that we exclude them to try to limit sending emails to people that isn't relevant content. And then there are other times where only Sales Maven Society members are going to get certain offers or they're going to get certain information from an email. So nobody else on the list. And that all comes through tagging. So think about who's on your list And if you are not sending emails because your aunt or your grandma or your cousin or your, friend that you had in high school sends you an email like, why are you selling to me in this email? Then unsubscribe them. Protect your mindset. I don't even pay attention to how many people unsubscribe. And I do kind of live this mentality that Shane always talks about, buy or unsubscribe. I'm happy for people. If you want to just sit on my list and be there forever and never have bought from me, like, great, fine. You're so welcome to be here. And I will try to deliver useful content in the emails that I send out. And if you're going to be offended that you get emails where I'm actually selling something to you, then you're probably going to want to unsubscribe from it. And I'm also okay with that. Bless and release those people. If you have a bunch of people on your email list right now that are friends and family and people that you are purposely not sending sales emails because they're on your email list, those people should be taken and put into a different list. Like, to me, those are the people that you send your holiday letters to, right? That want to hear that kind of stuff from you. But if you're not sending sales emails because of it, you are absolutely doing a huge disservice to your business, and you're not treating your email list like it is an asset. You're treating it like it's a vanity matrix. And that's what a lot of social platforms are for. So utilize those for that. Utilize your email list for sales, for selling. And one of the things you have to do is you also have to train your list that you're going to sell to them on a regular basis. Now, if you haven't trained your list yet, when you start making offers to your list, you're going to get a bunch of unsubscribers. This is something when I'm working with my private coaching clients and we start talking about what offers are they making and what's the email sequence that goes along with the offer. It's not uncommon for people to freak out and they're like, oh my gosh, I just got 40 unsubscribes. Okay, but those people who unsubscribed, how did they get onto your list? Did you just randomly add them, or did they opt in for your list? Because if they opted in for your list, they've shown in some way they're interested in your content. But if you randomly added them, of course they unsubscribed. You didn't have their permission in the first place. So they actually don't really count as subscribers to your email list if you just randomly added people to your list. Super important to really start to make this distinction about your email list and allow people to opt in to your list. That means that you want to actively be growing your list every single month. So when I say, does size matter? It matters as long as the people who are on your list have agreed in some way. They've said, yes, I'm interested in your content. I'm interested in you, and I'm willing to sit on your list and get some offers. Then yeah, size matters. Are they opening your emails? Are they clicking on the links for the offers that you're making? Those are the people that matter. But if you have a list size of 15,000 and you haven't emailed them in 6 months or 3 months, even, frankly, even 2 months, you don't really have a list of 15,000 people, because as soon as you, or whatever I said the number was, but as soon as you email out to them, you're going to get a bunch of unsubscribes, because people also forget that they're on your list unless they hear from you on a regular basis. So, does size matter? Yes, as long as you're growing your list every single month with potential clients. Now, it doesn't mean that people are going to come onto your list and buy immediately, and that's okay too. Sometimes you haven't made the right offer for them, or the timing isn't right. Like, I'm always trying to find the right offer at the right time for the right people. And that's who I send email offers out for, is the person who might say, this is the right time and this is the right offer. And I change up my offers regularly. Sometimes it's a low price offer. Sometimes it's a high price offer. Sometimes it's a mid-range offer. Sometimes it's for Sales Maven Society. Sometimes it's for strategy sessions. Sometimes it's for master classes. Like the things that I sell on a regular basis. What are you selling to your list on a regular basis? And are you changing up the offer, giving people different ways to come in and work with you? And I don't mean that you have to have 1,000 different ways. I pretty much have 3 main ways. And there are pretty consistent offers that go out about those 3 ways. Frankly, I make at least 1 offer a month to my list. So I'm selling something every single month to my list. Sometimes I'm selling twice a month. Actually, that's pretty common. I'm making 2 offers a month. And every once in a while, there might be 3 or 4. And my list is still growing. And yes, I get unsubscribes every single time I send out emails, but I'm not sending emails for the people who unsubscribe. I'm sending emails for the people who are like, I'm glad I got this email today. I'm ready to take this next step with you, Nikki. That's who the email is for. And the people who are like, hey, I got an email. I'm not interested in this offer, but I'm going to hang out because maybe I'll be interested in the next one. That's okay. Like, we're good. We're fine. It's fine for them to hang out on the list and wait for the next offer that's going to be the right offer for them. And in between, I'm going to be sending hopefully useful content. I send out a weekly newsletter. I send out different things from time to time, but mostly it's the weekly newsletter, and every other thing that goes out is some type of a sales offer. So the next thing is thinking about growing your list. What are you doing every single month to grow your list? Sometimes you need to break this up into every single week. Now there's a lot of different things that you can do. But when I hear people say I've had the same list size for 3 months or a year or 2 years, then it makes me go ooh, what's going on here? Something's got to be happening. We've got to be growing your list every single month. And typically there's kind of 2 things here. You can invest time to grow your list, or you can invest money. Now, things that are time investments, you might have some others, but this is just a few off the top of my head. Speaking, if you go and speak, there should be some type of an opt-in, a lead magnet, so people can get onto your list that way. Podcast guesting, that's something I do on a regular basis. And primarily, this is the number one way that I grow my list every single month, is people hear me on somebody else's podcast. They sign up for whatever the free opt-in is that I give for that podcast, and now they're on my list. Sometimes they become podcast listeners. Some of you have opted into my list because you have listened, you're ready to take that next step, you're ready to give up your email address because I've offered something for free, or sometimes I've offered something for sale. That's the way that I grow my list. Putting on free events. I used to do these very regularly. I still recommend them for clients a lot of times, depending on your business and what you do. Put on some type of a free webinar, free training. I know you might think, oh, I'm so sick of those, but here's the thing. You might be sick of them, but there's a lot of people out there that might just be hearing about you for the first time and will be so happy to learn something from you and then have an offer, a sales offer right behind it. But this is another way to grow your list, is to put on some type of an event that people have to opt in for. And then of course your lead magnets, your ebooks, the 5 ways that you're going to do whatever it is, or here's the 3 secrets to whatever your opt-in offer is. But make sure that you are regularly promoting that, because if you're not regularly promoting your lead magnet, if it's just something that sits on your website and you're not doing anything to drive traffic to your website, you're not going to be getting new subscribers to your list. So it can't just be, I'm going to put up a website, not grow my list. No, you got to be growing your email list on a regular basis. And then as far as what else can you do? If you're not going to invest time to do that, there's this other side, which is the money, right? That's ads. It could be ads on different social media platforms. It could be ads on podcasts. And sometimes it's a combination of both. I'm going to invest some time to grow my list. I'm also going to invest some money to grow my list. But your list isn't just going to grow because you have one, because you put a little box on your website that says sign up for my newsletter. That's not how you're going to grow your list on a regular basis. So think about, what could you be doing to grow your list? And really you should be doing it every month. Because again, this is a business asset. You want to grow your assets in your business. Now, the one thing I would encourage you to shy away from And I know that this is one way that you can grow your list is you could go buy a list and dump a bunch of people on your list. Be very, very careful about doing that. It's not a philosophy. It's not a strategy I'm a big fan of. I don't see it work well often because a lot of times those lists, those people haven't actually opted in and given you permission to email them. So when they start, when you start buying lists, you have to remember how many other people bought that list and also hit that person up for some like random thing that they didn't show any interest in. This is why I'm a big fan of investing time and investing, money where you're giving people some like reason to sign up to be on your list versus just buying a list and then randomly, I call that the shotgun approach to sales, and just trying to sell people stuff off of a list that you purchased. Not typically a good way to do that. So this other thing about size, I find this has come up a lot recently where people want access to my list and they want me to have a certain size list in order to participate in whatever it is that they're doing. So there are some reasons to grow your list, but be really careful about that and like who gets access to your list. I'm pretty protective of my list. As a matter of fact, I just hopefully gracefully declined taking part in something recently where the person was much more interested in my list size than they were in me, even though they had initially positioned it as, oh, we really, we want you to be a part of this thing. And we're so interested in you and your content. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I'm interested. Tell me more. And then really it kind of came down to, but your list size needs to be this, and you need to email them this certain number of times. Like, be really careful about that stuff too, because it doesn't really matter. Again, I know people that have list size. I actually have clients that have much bigger lists than I do. But they're not actively using it. I actually was having a conversation with somebody recently, and he was saying he was talking to somebody who had a list of 90,000 people, but they never, ever send emails to those people. They never try to monetize that list. So to me, that's kind of a dead list. Like, those 90,000 people are disappearing every single day. There's people dropping off that list because they don't even remember that they signed up to be on your list, and you're missing out on opportunity. So it really kind of comes down to a lot of times how many people are on your list, but not just on your list, are opening your emails, are clicking the links that you're including in them. That means that you got to track that kind of stuff. And then the other thing about list size, as you grow your list, one of the benefits is you will start to see, you'll again, if you're using some of the strategies that I'm talking about here, of growing your list organically, growing your list with people who are showing interest in your content, who are opting in for things. And then when you start making offers to them, they're much more likely to buy. Now, the thing about that is it can't just be a really subtle offer that gets put at the bottom of your email newsletter once a month or once every 3 months. You're not going to make sales like that. Every time you want to make an offer, there needs to be some type of an email sequence attached to it, because that's where you start to make it easier for your list. Like, they might not see email 1. They might not see email 2. They might take a scan of email 3 because the day and the time is right when that email shows up in their inbox. They may have missed the first 2. So you can't just send these really subtle offers in your email and think that you're going to make sales. Every time somebody says, like, nobody on my list ever buys from me, and I dig deeper to this and I go, okay, so when you make an offer, let's look at those offers and what's the email sequence? And they're like, what do you mean email sequence? How many emails do you send when you send an offer? 1. Okay. Well, that's not enough. That's just not enough. I just actually worked with a client recently who kind of had said that same thing to me. I was asking about different offers that she's made, and she said, well, nobody ever buys this one thing that I have, but it's such a good thing that when people do get it, they're so excited about it. And I was like, well, when's the last time you sold it to your list? Like you made an offer to your list for it. And she was like, last year. And I was like, okay. And what was the email sequence? And she was like, well, there wasn't an email sequence. Okay. So how did people know it was for sale? Well, it was, there was a little like 2 sentences in a newsletter. I'm like, well, that's not enough. And then we started talking about something that she was selling right then. And she was like, well, I only had one buyer. And so it feels like nobody wants to buy. And I was like, well, you had one buyer on how many emails? Well, just one. I was like, okay, so when we end our strategy session today, I want you to send I want you to send 3 more emails, and this is what I want them to be. And these are the days that I want them to go. And we kind of talked through it. Her next email, she sold 8. I actually track on my emails when I make offers. I track how many buyers do I get on which email? So I have a list in front of me all the time. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. I can look at different offers and I can go, okay, so, here's something I did recently. I'm actually looking at this. I have it in front of me. There were 8 buyers. So not a huge successful campaign, but I was happy with the 8 buyers. And I looked at it and I go, okay, so how many buyers came on email 1 of the 8? In this particular case, 1. I got 1 buyer on email 1, but I don't ever just send 1 email. So on email 2, I got 3 buyers. Good thing I sent email 2, right? Because now I went from having 1 buyer to now having 4. And then on email 3, I got 2 more buyers. And on email 4, I got 2 more buyers. Good thing I sent 4 emails, right? Because if I had only sent 1 email, I would have only had 1 buyer. And what would I have thought about that particular offer? Nobody wants it. But it's not true. I had to have an email sequence attached to it. So when you're thinking about your email list and you're so worried about people unsubscribing, and I couldn't tell you how many people unsubscribed on email 1, 2, 3, or 4. And frankly, I don't care. Bless and release. I'm not attached to the people who get an email from me and they're like, dang, Nikki's selling to me again. I'm sick of her, or I don't like her, or I don't like her content, or I'm never going to buy from her. Great. Get off my list because I have to pay for that list. It's mine. I own it. It's an asset. I want it to be as valuable as possible for me, for my business, and for the people who are interested in the work that I do. And I want that for you, for your list too. So I'm hoping this is helpful content. I'm hoping that this maybe is shifting some mindsets around their email list and how people are treating their email list. Let's let go of this idea that it's about vanity, because you can tout from the rooftops that you have a bigger list than me. But if you're not selling to them, I'm not impressed. I actually don't care how many people you have on your list. I care how many people are actually buying. What percentage of your list is buying from you? If I can say 90% of my sales come from my list is, there's some value to it, right? So what is yours? How many sales are coming from your list? Are you paying attention to it? Because that's when size matters. I mean, I would love for my list. I would love to sit here and say, I have a list of 90,000 people. I can't even imagine what that would do to my business because my list is nowhere close to that. But what would it do to my business if I had a list? I mean, if I had a list of 15,000 people, what would that do of actual people who have said, I'm interested, I'm dipping my toe in the water with you. I want some piece of content that you've provided. Like it would make such a difference because I know what my business does now with the list size that I have. And it's pretty significant. I'm pretty happy with my business and the growth that it's shown in the last couple of years. So I can say it's all down to my email list. And I've gotten really serious about making offers to it. So I hope this is helpful. I hope there's some takeaways in here in my kind of conversation that we're having today about your email list. And if you're struggling with your email list, if you're struggling with getting past this fear, this anxiety that you have about sending out an email, then it may just be that you need somebody to help you tweak the email a little bit so that you feel really confident about the email that you're sending. And that's something that I do inside the Sales Maven Society for my members. They can post their emails in there and tag me, and I go in and offer some tweaks and some suggestions. I actually just did one today for somebody who wants to respond on LinkedIn when somebody sends them an invitation, like how can they start a conversation? So just by them posting like, here's what I'm thinking about saying, Nikki, I can take it, offer some tweaks, put it back in there. And then now they've got a script that they can use. They can decide to use my piece that I offer, or they can just stick with their original, or they can kind of tweak, find some middle ground between the two. But that's something that happens in the Sales Maven Society daily. I tweak these daily, I think, for my members. So if you need some help with putting out what you're going to say in your emails, come join the Sales Maven Society. Now, before I go into the offer, I do also want to just wrap up today with a question for you. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that 2021 is the year of the question for me. So I've been trying to offer questions and at the end of each episode for you to kind of add to your toolkit. Most of these are questions that you can be asking prospective clients and existing clients, but every once in a while I throw a question in for you to ask yourself. And so this is what this question is for today. And the question is, what is one thing that I can do this week to bring new subscribers to my list? And then once you've answered that question, go take some action, get some new subscribers on your list. All right. If you'd like some help with your email communication, if you would like some suggestions on ways to grow your list, come join the Sales Maven Society. You will have an opportunity twice a month. I go live and do coaching calls with my members. You have an opportunity to post questions in the group and tag me and get feedback. And you have access to a myriad of trainings that I have put together on different sales related topics. You can join the Sales Maven Society right now by going to salesmavensociety.com. And if you enter this coupon code that I'm going to give you, so if you want to pause this and get a pen and write this down, the coupon code is 47 trial. So the number 4, the number 7, and then trial. That's going to save you $100 off of your first month of membership. So you can join right now for only $47. We would love to have you come dip your toe in the water. Let me help you with some of these emails and get you going so that you can regularly build on your list and regularly sell to your list. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And I would love to hear from you. What was your takeaway from this particular episode? Connect with me on social media if you're not on my email list yet. Connect with me on social media and share. I'd love your takeaway for today. Have a great rest of your day and go out there and send some emails.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.